Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's after tournament Tuesday. Chris has shrunk a little bit, gained the US Open title, and looks a little prettier. Hey, Frankie, what's going on?
Stewie, how's it going?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good, I think.
I think.
Although the show might be off the tracks today, as I've got to manage the whole thing. So yeah, we'll see what's going on. An interesting weekend up in Shawnee. You did what all good friends do. When the bully beats up your friend, you bitch slap him afterwards.
Take care of him. That's right.
Yeah. It was a weird first block, to say the least. I'd never expected to look at the results and see you, Chris, Lavery, and Lavery all outside the top 16 after 6 games. That was very odd.
Yeah, it was definitely strange. The format was strange too compared to what we normally do in regionals. Normally we have just an 8-game block, and then whether it's one squad or two squads, we cut to the top 1/3 for the next day, and we didn't do that this time. It was an invitational field, and half the field was going to make it to match play the next day. 32 bowlers cut to 16, and we had two 6-game blocks instead of just one 8-game block. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people struggled more than they anticipated in the morning block. I was one of those people. That combined with the fact that it was the 32 best bowlers in the region, so the scores were a little bit higher, given that we were on a very difficult pattern. So yeah, it took a while to get used to it, but I think I mean, I want to say most of us figured it out in the second block. I don't think Chris really did. He barely made it in, and that,
he actually bowled quite well. The second block, he was just so far out, and the scores went up so quick that he managed to backdoor it with the back 5, I think.
Yeah.
By 1 pin. It was for me, it was very clear what you had to do. And a few of you who are actually quite good at what you had to do decided not to do it in the first block, which was very odd. So I felt like it was stand at 10 and throw it at second arrow and watch the pins go everywhere. So at that point, I'm thinking, Chris is going to be pretty tough on this. I look over and Chris is sliding in the left gutter, and I'm like, do you need a map back to where you should be bowling? Like it was very weird. So Chris says he's here. That means he's listening. So to answer Brian's question, he's here. It is moving day for Chris, so he is literally packing his house up. Brian then follows it up with "Don't need him anywhere." Team Storm rotor grip. So Casey Mattingly, he figured it out in match play. Well, yeah. Let's just take that to the board. What rhymes with beep and jeep? Sweep. So I guess he did figure it out. I think he more figured out how to beat me. I don't really think he figured out how to beat the pins. Because he just destroyed my scores. He didn't really score that well. I thought it was a little strange watching the matches, because at one point it looked like the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, and the number 4 seed were all going to lose at one point, and then it just became 1 and 4, I think. Just me and Maldonado ended up losing. But did you find them different on Sunday? It's difficult for me to tell, because I had a hack with a crutch destroying the lane with his urethane ball. So what did you see?
Yeah, I did find them quite a bit different. I mean, being that it is Shawnee, pair to pair was quite a bit different too. And when we started bowling on Saturday, I started in the middle of the house and at the high end of the house, both blocks. And then on Sunday morning, I started on 3 and 4. So I'm not sure how much of that was just the pair that I was on versus just the lanes being way tighter on Sunday. But yeah, I did find them to be quite a bit different. Even from the first match to the second match, like I said, the pairs in Shawnee are pretty different from each other. So yeah, they were quite a bit different. I ended up having to use different balls. I ended up having to play them differently. That second block, I did a little bit more like what you thought was obvious to everybody else. I went back to the paddock and pulled out some balls that I didn't think I was going to use for the second block, and ended up using them to make the cut. But on Sunday, it was a different arsenal altogether again, and having to figure it out again. So yeah, pretty for me. I found them to be pretty different every time they re-oiled.
Yeah, for me, I didn't really find that, but I think the thing that I had that may have been my downfall in the end was I was really playing the oil. I wasn't really using the friction at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the friction was very different each time. But if you weren't really using it, then it didn't really affect you.
Yeah,
I think that would have been the same for me on Sunday, because in practice my ball reaction was great, and then as we got into the first game, like the 10 minutes of practice started to wear on, and it just got to that point where it was going a little bit it was just going a little bit longer. He says, so you say you had a hack on your pank. Frankie just said 32 of the best bowlers, question mark. Yeah, I was talking about Barnes. So yeah, he was a urethane wanger. So here, I'll just share the screen of what we were kind of doing.
He had to figure out a way. He had to figure out some way to beat 589, or was it 89 or 99?
589. I had the 289, 300, 289, two different balls. Switch lanes as well on the two balls as well. So here's Chris. This was in practice. He was using the Zen at this point. I still think he was a little far left at that point, but that was Chris. That was his kind of attack. Let's see if I can pull up mine now. I know this is a little clunky. Somebody recorded this the wrong way around, but I appreciate Lesko for doing it nonetheless. This was the last shot of my 300. It's a cool one. When do you ever get that as the hit?
You don't.
It never. Well, you get that hit, but you never get it for the 12th shot. So yeah. that was definitely a fun one. And then I actually have a video of you, so people can get an idea of what everybody was doing. This was you bowling in the match against Frankie.
The match against Chris, you mean?
Sorry. Yes. Yeah, here we go. I'm hoping that this will play, but it doesn't. Just 1 second. I might have to. QuickTime has died. So head over to Frankie's Instagram page or whatever you want to do, and you can see that shot. But Frankie was kind of keeping it kind of similar to what I was doing. He had a little bit more shape.
A little bit more shape. I think at that point, too, I was using the proton physics, which I hadn't used so much during the weekend. And so the stronger ball with a little more surface kind of allowed me to give it a little more shape. And I didn't feel like I had to throw it quite as hard as I did on the second block on Saturday. So yeah, I was, like you said, at that point, I was starting to play a little bit more of the oil in the front part of the lane rather than trying to get it to the dry. So yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like the guys who could, just keep it on top of it were the ones who really were able to score consistently lane to lane. The only person who I saw who actually did quite good, where he shaped it a little bit, was Nathan. He bowled with me, but Nathan kind of still went. He didn't use the friction at all. He just threw it kind of slow in the oil and really just baby. It was like a baby curve on it.
Yeah.
And he bowled pretty good as well. We were on the same cross, so maybe we just got a good cross. I don't know. Barnes says, I definitely had it backwards. I was playing on top of the burn or slow hooking around it, but either way, not what you were doing. Well, it sure didn't matter by the end of it. What did you see as the best balls that you used over the weekend?
I used a combination of two different idles. I had a stronger idle that I put some surface on, and in the second block, I went to a weaker idle that had some. I think we must have shined it when we were in Virginia, and that was what was left on it. So it was a little bit weaker idle that had some shine on it. That's the one I used on the second block on Saturday when I moved into the cut. I was throwing it much harder and much straighter. And the first block, that stronger idle with surface allowed me to hook around it a little bit more, which is what I thought I should have been doing at the time, and it worked okay until it didn't on certain pairs. And on the Sunday, I used that RST X1 and the Proton Physics. So new ball Sunday.
I think it should work this time. Here we go. So this was in your match against Chris. Proton Physics. Sending them everywhere.
And that shot was a little bit quicker than intended too. Like I said earlier, I didn't feel like in that match I had to throw it quite as hard as I did the day before. And the match before that, I was bowling Kyle Duster, and we were hooking it quite a bit more than I was on that video, just because the way we broke down the lanes, we went to 4 games, and so we ended up kind of hooking around it. Him being a two-hander and he likes to open up the lane a little bit more. So that RSTX1 came into play in the first match when I had to kind of get it to the right a little bit more.
Kelly says sick pin action looked like you rolled it like a two-hander. Yeah, shame I wasn't covering as many boards as a two-hander does when that happened, though. That's the key to it. William asked, did they re-all in between the 2 blocks? Yes, yeah, they did. Yeah. Keith Lesko said, just joined. Thanks for Stu for trying to help me out. Yeah, I tried, Keith. You have one more game, you would have probably got there. And no offense, but I'd much rather bowl you than Barnes. Here's a good question. Loads. The Proton hooks,
yeah.
Loads more. For me, the Proton is it's more like hypercell to hypercell skid type deal. It's the super strong solid cover as opposed to a clean pearl cover. So there's a huge difference.
Yeah, I see the same thing. That Proton Physics is really, really, really strong. It's going to need a lot of oil, whether that's a high volume pattern or, I mean, not even so much on the longer patterns, because they tend not to have as much volume a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Proton's going to be useful when there's a lot of oil on the lanes. Whereas, like you said, the Astrophysics is still a big core, but that does it have R2S on it? I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
It's one of the cleanest covers, so it goes a lot longer than the Proton does.
That ball was good in Indy for you.
Yeah, the Astro was good in Indy, definitely. Mm-hmm. Older surfaces, usually a ball like that comes into play. More friction, yeah. Astrophysics. Astrophysics is one that I use quite a bit because I've always been a fan of those stronger asim pearls. We were talking about the hypercell fuse a little bit. I used to like that one. Now I like the Astrophysics. It's a good, for me, I use them a lot, maybe because of my rev rate. I use them a lot between the stronger solid balls and the smaller core pearls that are, quicker off the spot. They're kind of a good in between for me because they let me stay closer to what I want to do without having to fight the ball going too far down the lane.
Yeah, so sort of when you want to keep your angles a little bit closed, you can almost create a little bit of push that isn't there by using those, because they'll just get through it, and they're not going to really change direction as hard as, say, a high road pearl down the lane, whereas the high road pearl might not pick up or if it does pick up, you're going to need to be a long way away from the head pin to use it.
Exactly.
For me, I bowled on the Saturday. I had a kind of, it was very funny because I practiced with you and I felt like I started trying to hook it a little bit, whatever else. And I'm like, nah, it's Oklahoma. And I joked with you guys that I was going to go with what would Rash do? Because Sean's fantastic in that bowling center. He's bowled great the last, 5 years in there. So I decided that it was that if Sean was bowling this, he would be keeping it really much in front of him and whatever. So I kind of came in with that game plan and we were practicing and whatever. And I was bowling next to Sean Lavery and Travis Triboulet. And I said to Sean, I bet Travis will mash him. And he goes, oh, he's really good on this pattern. And I go, really? I've never bowled on this pattern. He goes, oh, yeah, you have. And I was like, where? And he goes, Fort Sill. And then I started to get like cold sweats go down my back. That was where I missed the cut.
Yeah.
And ironically, if I'd have made more of an effort to really think about it, I would have known straight away before I came in that I was going to bowl straight, because that was my main issue in Fort Sill that I got away from, staying like kind of keeping it firm and straight. So I didn't feel as bad when I asked you and you didn't remember that that's what we bowled on in Fort Sill.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's nice job, guys. Really, really using that experience of the last time you bowled. So once I realized that, I just decided to use the stronger balls like I like to do, and just use speed to keep them online and kind of just move my eyes left a little bit. So the first block, I used the UFO, kind of a weak pin, but a really, really high, like a 10-degree val, or like a 1-inch pin buffer. So it still flares quite a bit, even though it was a 6-inch pin. And just kind of tumbled it in front of me. I used that, and I had a similar drilling on an Omega Crux. So I used those two, and then towards the end, I went to my trusty X1. And then the next block I came in, they were a little bit tighter. So I pulled out my proton physics that I had, and I used that on one of the lanes, and I used the UFO on the other lane, kind of the way I did the first block, but the UFO became the weaker ball. And then it was unbelievable for like 2 games. It was silly. Everything I tried worked. And so I used the UFO on the right lane and the proton on the left lane. And then we moved to the pair to the left of us. And in my notes, I had that the right lane was tighter. So I just said, meh, and I flipped the balls and it worked. When does that ever happen? Yeah, that was definitely a weird scenario. But like I say, it was a good weekend overall. It's a shame I caught Barnes in the match. He did pretty much what he had to do. He tried to make the lanes as different as possible, and I just didn't have the answers. I didn't think it would make that much difference where I was bowling him using the urethane, but it really did. Cody says he bowled awesome, especially the first block. I mean, he came out like a bullet out the gun. I think he had 568 after 2.
820, I think.
Yeah. He says, as I didn't watch either of y'all's match being on the other end of the building, the pair I was on in match play was loads different to Saturday. Did you all see the same thing? Frankie kind of saw the same thing. I couldn't tell you one way or the other because Barnes used urethane. So the general consensus was that they were quite different from the guys I spoke to. Do the center's tendency overrule which pattern you were bowling on that week? No, not really. I just think that for me and Shawnee, if you get the ball to change direction really hard down the lane, the carry's just awful. I think the guys who do better there are the ones who keep it kind of either in front of them, or even when they're hooking it, they still get it to kind of go straighter in the back part of the lane. The 2 or 3 times that I've actually done really well in Shawnee, I've either been using the pitch black or we've been bowling on like 52 feet. So that's kind of been leaning me towards, I always feel like, oh my God, it's so much better. I should hook it because I can hit the pocket every time. And then at the end of the block, I realized I bowled 212. And everybody else bowled 237 or 245. So I just keep falling into the same trap. So I was determined not to do that this time.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I'm not ready to say that the center's tendencies would overrule a pattern. They definitely play part into how the pattern is gonna play, but it's more of a combination than being overruled, if that makes any sense.
It also depends on how extreme you want to go with the patterns. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're talking 32 feet and 52 feet, it don't really matter what the center likes. You
Yeah.
ain't gonna play. If you think that the center likes bowling first arrow, you ain't bowling first arrow on 52 feet, whatever the center tells you.
Yeah.
There has to be an IndyCar style ramp on the gutter for that to work. So Casey making me look like I never strike with the X1. Keeps getting 800 all the time. He's mean. Next tournament for both of you, sunny Lubbock this weekend. We'll come to that in just a second. Thanks, Keith. I did think I had a chance of a pretty big set. Then we went to 3 and 4. That one slowed me down a little bit.
Stop the triplicate.
Cody says that my block was crazy. It made him look like he shot nothing. I don't know. I still thought it was pretty funny that you said to me, "Oh man, my main motivation for striking every shot is my back screwed up and I can't shoot a 10 pin." Okay, so quickly moving on. We are going to Lubbock this weekend. One of my favorite places, Jimbo and Sunday Evans. If it wasn't for Jacob Buttroff, I'd feel like King Kong going there. Jacob, unfortunately, seems to be my nemesis there, but I guess he's everybody's nemesis there, except maybe Barnes. Yeah, so I'm sure that we'll all be playing to beat Jacob in the step ladder. That's been the general thing when we've gone there. We're playing on 39 feet, Don Carter. Let me just quickly bring that up. Oh boy, there she is. So that's a little small at the minute. I'll just zoom in a little bit. So it's 3-1, kind of similar to what we've been bowling on. I think it really makes a difference on this pattern from what I've seen over how the gutter's playing. And also obviously which oil they're going to use. 27 mils of oil. The reverse is at 35 feet. So Frankie, got any thoughts on this one? Being as you did shoot 300 on TV on this pattern.
Yeah, I guess I quite like this pattern. I don't know. I think for me, I'm quite comfortable on the medium patterns, especially on the fresh. They let me play the angles that I really like to play. Like 12-6, 12-5. So I think that's always the plan for me. Try to get in that general area and then try to figure out which ball is going to go through the pins. It seems like that's going to be another pattern that could be quite high scoring. So when they get like that, for me, it's really about figuring out the right ball. Like this last weekend was kind of the same thing, because they were a little bit higher scoring, and the way that Shawnee plays in general, it was really about figuring out the right ball. It just took me a while to do that on Saturday, but yeah, the trend is coming with me, definitely.
Somebody's been paying attention.
Yeah, the trend is definitely coming with me this weekend. It's more than likely going to see some playing time. I'm not sure it'll be in the first game on fresh like it was in the playoffs. That lane surface in Virginia was quite a bit different, although Lubbock does hook quite a bit. So we'll see. Gutter and play big time. There you go. Yeah, that's what I like. That's what I like to hear
from Mr. Lubbock himself. Scores might be higher than normal in Lubbock. Well, maybe on some pairs. Lubbock is an interesting cross, to say the least. There's some newer panels in certain places. It's it's definitely a center that gets a lot of league bowlers in there. And it can be very, you can think you have the world on one pair and you can go home on the next pair. It's very strange going lane to lane there. And definitely it depends on which end you're at. Starting down at the low end seems to always be the better deal. If you can start at the low end and move to the high end, I think it's better. If you start at the high end, like I seem to do every single time I bowl there, I'm on 23 and 24 or 25 and 26. Literally every time I've ever bowled in Lubbock, that's where I've started. So no doubt I'm just going to walk in on Saturday. I'm not even going to look at the cross sheet and just put my stuff down somewhere there. It just seems to be that those pairs hook way more and they're way flatter in the middle. So if you get there late on, it's fine because you can just be so far left of it that it doesn't really matter. But on the fresh, they can make you look like an asshole pretty easily in that part of the building. Lubbock says, looks like a pitch black pattern. I think the only thing I would say is the pitch black might be a little early. I personally haven't had that much success with urethane in Lubbock. Even when we bowled on Wolf, I found reactive balls were better. I just think that the front part is just
a lot of friction.
The front part is it's a big problem there, and finding the balls that get through that is the key. Dick Allen says, when you're sneaky 500, it doesn't matter, does it, Frankie?
No, it doesn't.
Sneaky.
It's funny. Him and Zeke had this argument on Facebook for a long time after the playoffs or after the PBA League about what their rev rates were, and Zeke was saying I think his was 720 because they were arguing over the Specto numbers. And when I posted the video this weekend, the video of that shot you showed earlier of this weekend, I asked them what's the rev rate count on this, and I think Richie said 305 or something like that, and I don't remember what Zeke said. Zeke gave me more than that, but I said it was a sneaky 510. You just don't realize it, but
you just creep up at them all.
Yeah, you just don't realize it, but it sends the pins flying.
Here is your previous business partner, Christopher Sloan. I remember the happy hour. I remember Frankie doing all the work and Sloan not being bothered to do anything. He's surprised he made it to the event, getting that new FIFA game on Thursday.
Yeah, that was my Cyber Monday purchase. Got more than half off on FIFA 21. So I'll be spending quite a bit of time on that. It wasn't that difficult when my friend Stewie asked me to step in, and it's not that Chris is a bad host, but let's be real, you got a bit of an upgrade this time.
He's not a bad host, he's just a bad friend. Friends don't use urethane against other friends.
Or at least if they beat their friend, they're going to make sure they go a little further than just one more round.
Yeah, just lose it the next round. Yeah. But it was, I mean, Chris put up a good fight against you. You bowled great in that round, 68. I think you bowled 68-58 or something like that.
Something like that. I did have some good breaks, and I think that was the combination of my good breaks and some of his that didn't strike was maybe a little frustrating for him. But seriously, did he see how I got robbed on that 4-9-10 spare? I deserve those breaks after that.
Yeah, Frankie, he shut out the match, and it was quite amusing because the rack on 17 wasn't great.
Yeah.
Now, just a quick sidebar. They did an amazing job in Shawnee with the pin setting. The pin setting in Shawnee in the past decade has been some of the worst that we bowl on in the PBA anywhere. Simonson once wrote on the sheet, they said, tell me which lanes we need to work on. And Simonson wrote 1 to 24 on a piece of paper and gave it to them. But Rick Justice and his staff have really dug in, and they've been looking up different ways to change the setting and everything. And overall, the racks were way, way, way better than they've been. They did a lot of hard work, and we really appreciated it. But the rack on 17 is one of those things that's still interesting at times. And Frankie went up and he flat 10'd, and then a pin just moseyed its little ass over there and just give it a for the cheese.
That's that sneaky 5-10.
And Chris turns to me and says, "Man, I was just about to say Frankie's going to have to go high flush to strike on this lane." That was another thing I was wrong about.
Yeah, because he could strike out. He could strike out for 67, I think. And then I got the first one and 9 spare for 68, so that locked it up.
Yeah.
And he ended up. I think he ended up shooting 250 that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's that sneaky 5-10 rev rate. It doesn't matter if you flat 10; it's going to get out.
Yeah, it's like Kyle Troop at the Weber Cup. Just made no effort whatsoever to throw to get the ball to shape. Just threw it. Just kept it on line. I don't blame him. Every time he left a flat 10 and the 6 just went straight in the right gutter, the head pin just rolled its little ass over there and went, took it out. Regina says, "Why is Frankie beating up on seniors? Poor Chris." He had my back.
To be fair, I beat up on just about everybody. It just happens that this one's over 50.
That was the beauty of that place. Come on, Dick. Come on. They can put a man on the moon, but they can't put 10 pins on spot in Tucson. Come on. Come on. The beauty of that place is the deli on the corner, the meat market.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Frankie going to see our boys.
Isn't a sandwich with about a pound of ham and the 1/4-inch slice of Swiss cheese in it for about $1.26.
Yeah. Isn't lane 17 where Yes left the 4-7 and the 4 was taken out by a messenger? It may well have been, yes. I'm sure Yes took it real well as well. So I think we can just quickly round back to Lubbock. How many balls are you going to take, Frank?
I'll probably take the standard 15. It's just me in the car, so I've got quite a bit of space.
Any special ones that you're thinking about taking?
I'm gonna take the Alpha Crux because that one's it's almost a no-brainer at this point. It's a little bit lane shined. It doesn't really have too much surface on it. We're bulling on something medium, so that one's coming for sure. The Trend is coming for sure. And then I really don't have that many balls more than 15 that I'll have to like really try to select an arsenal for this. I probably have about 20 drilled balls here, and there are some that I just know I'm not going to take. So yeah, I'll just take a combination of a couple of idols, a couple of phase 2s, astrophysics, the Trend, the Alpha, and then I'll round out the arsenal with whatever I've got left. And I might drill a ball or two, but yeah.
Little insider tip: Sherlock was really good there a couple of years ago.
Sherlock was good. That one might make the trip.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I've got a couple of fresh ones left. I'm thinking that I might.
You might have to consider that. Yeah.
Yeah, we might dig in. Here's breaking news. Crystal says, "Hey Frankie, there's a guy in the Bachelorette that looks like you, beefed up."
Nice. Yeah.
I don't really know what to say about that.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It makes sense.
I guess that's a good thing if he wins.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you've never been shy about telling everybody how attractive you are, though. So
no, I completely. I can see it. Yeah, someone on the Bachelorette that looks like me. Yeah, that makes sense.
Selwyn says, "I still throw the high road pill, and it's awesome." Yep.
Oh yeah.
Sure is, Selwyn.
Yeah, that one will make the bag too.
All right, Frankie. I think we're gonna cut it off here. I appreciate you for stepping in. It has made my life a little easier today, for sure. Always entertaining to catch up. I will see you on Friday for practice session in Lubbock. Thanks again to our sponsors: Storm, Rotogrip, 900 Global, Vice, Turbo, Coolwick, 3G Shoes, Dexter Shoes, Master, and Bowlsmart.
And Buddy's Pro Shop.
And Frankie wants to thank Buddy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, looking forward to Lubbock this weekend. It's usually a very good time there. The owners, they take really good care of the players, and they put on Great events, and they always add money for us, so we're really thankful for them, and I'm looking forward to seeing them this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Quickly, 45-0 Patriots. Boom. Are both of you taking residence here in the States? Yes, we are. I live in Pflugerville, and Frankie up in Wichita.
Yep.
All right, guys. Have a nice day, and we'll catch up with you soon. Take care.